Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. And I was meditating on some, I was just like, wow, we really get it. And, you brothers and you sisters, Salakia, we really been chosen to wake up, you know what I'm saying, and be in the truth. And it's a great privilege seeing that the world don't know what's going on. How you know they don't know what's going on? If somebody open up talking about God and Jesus, they don't know the truth. Because the name testifies against him. Even somebody that somewhat know a little knowledge, they'll know that the Most High name ain't God and the Son name ain't Yah. It's not Jesus. So you consider yourself blessed. You've been privileged. You've been chosen, and hopefully, you can finish. But the elect, the good thing about, we talk about like a lot of bad stuff, and the truth is full of lamentations, mourning, and woe. But it is a flip side. There's always a balance to everything in life. Like you got hot, you got cold. You got good and you got evil. So on the flip side, you know, somebody got to play the elect. You know, Jake. Most of our people playing the 2/3, right? But you got to have some, you know, brothers and sisters that play the elect. Somebody got to be the elect. That's the beautiful thing about it. And you seen that contrast, you got brothers bugging out all these weird doctrines. And that's why we to stay steadfast and stay firm with this one doctrine. It's only one truth and there's many lies. And sometimes you got to say, wow. And the water Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah for putting us in this privileged situation, you know what I'm saying, this position that we're in. Because, the world is gone. They don't know anything. The world is in gross darkness. But the Lord saw fit, people that I guess people would consider nobodies. That is how the Lord get down. And you brothers and you sisters are precious, you know what I'm saying? Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah. And you might not think that you are. We try to make ourselves a no reputation, but, we'll get our glory in the kingdom. But, it is what it is on this side. So we've been called in this. It's a marvel. Because think about what you was doing before you came into the truth or even heard about the truth. We was in complete folly. Speaking for myself, I was into Christianity. That's what I was raised in. That's all I knew. That's all I was taught. So once I, started to, wake up, and the Lord got me over to GMS and I started watching the videos and learning, it was a rap. And actually, the Lord put the spirit on me, my brother in the truth with me, my biological blood brother and my father, my biological father. So it's a great blessing, knowing that you see these people that ain't got no answers in the world. Christianity is a completely bugged out religion, and you got to think about where you was at before you came into the truth. Like we was out of it, we was finished, we was in destitute, in confusion, in lies, living our life. The Lord could have actually took us out at any time. That's the scary thing about it. He could have took us out before we even woke up to the truth. And most of these jakes not gonna wake up to the truth. That's scary too. So consider yourself very blessed, and it's an honor to be able to, know the truth, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. So, let me get into some scriptures. I didn't mean to ramble too much. Just want to bring that to your attention. And thank you, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Even though we're vexed, it's like a great privilege. Ephesians 4:4. It says, there is one body. It says, in one spirit, even as you are called in one hope of your calling. So we in one hope. We got one doctrine. We know how this is going to play out. That's why so much confusion in Christianity, because you got all the different denominations of Christianity, different doctrines, right? Which is straight up confusion. You're supposed to have one doctrine if you serve the same God, but they're going to show you that the confusion and the disorderly, bugged out nature of Christianity. They got all these different denominations. They got different doctrines. How can you be all together yet you got different doctrines? That makes no logical sense. So the scripture gonna break it down further. And Ephesians was read to the Israelites that was in Ephesus. It says Ephesians 4:5. It says one Lord. That's Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. It says one faith and one baptism, which is this. It ain't no water baptism for you bug eyes. This is a spiritual baptism. You know what I'm saying? Washing of the word. Once you understand, you clean up your life and you start making the word apply to your life and you believe on the doctrine. So we'd have one understanding, we'd be on one accord, and there'd be no difference in the doctrine. Let's go here. It says John 15:16, yea, have Salakia, have not chosen me. Ye have not chosen me, Salakia. So this cut on these Christians that say on December 18, I gave my life to Christ. And that ain't even much his name, because when they say Christ, Jivas, you know who they talking about, that so-called white boy, that Edomite, Cedric Bourgeois. You have not chosen me, so we didn't choose to wake ourselves up. This was a divine intervention. It was going to be one day in your life, you know, you could be 20-some, 30-some, 40-some, 50-some, 60-some years old, and one day it was just going to snap to you, because that's how the Lord wakes up the elect. He just wake them up all of a sudden. It says, but I have chosen you and ordained you. So you can't choose the Lord got to choose you. You can't choose to wake up to the truth. The Lord got to put the Spirit on you for you to wake up. That's just the way it goes. That ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain. That whatsoever ye shall ask of your Father in my name, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah, he may give it to you. So the people still calling on God and Jivas. When they open up a conversation like that, you know they don't know what's going on. They cannot be trusted. Let's go here. Let's go to Matthew. It says Matthew 13:11. It says, he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. But to them is not given. The Lord was dealing with his disciples, right? It wasn't meant for it. What this showing you is separation. The Lord only dealing with his elect on this side of the nation of Israel. Only the elect. Only the remnant. That's the only people going to get it on this side. The rest of the Jake's going to be into Christianity. They're going to be into Kemet. They're going to be into Islam. They're going to be into Buddhism. They're going to be into Hinduism. They're going to be into all them isms. They're going to be atheists. They're going to be into Scientology. They're going to be Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian, evangelical, whatever. Pick your poison. That's what they're going to be into. So showing that separation, that the Lord only dealing with his people, and not even all his people, but he only dealing with the elect or the remnant, or the ones that he chose to wake up of his people. And it just happened to be, I believe that's us, you know what I'm saying, through the Spirit. But we have to finish the race. You can't, because a lot of brothers, they come into the truth and they just run out of gas. You know what I'm saying? Which the Lord speed them out. It says Romans 11:8. And we do have our days when we are exhausted, you know what I'm saying? And like lately I've been kind of, dealing with a cold, then, this exhausted, man. But you still have to keep pushing. It says Romans 11:8. Matter of fact, let me go to Romans 11:7. And for me, sometimes I have an information overload. It's like I want to do 20 lessons at one time, and you seem to not get anything done because you want to do everything. All right, so that's something that, I have to work on, but it is what it is. I'd rather have too much going on than not enough. Romans 11:7, it says, what then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. What is this telling you? That the rest of the Israelites, that's why they call us a cult. They call us crazy. They say everything that we say is a conspiracy theory. You ask them what answers do they have no answers. And this is, then Jake into Kemet, Jake into the, the Kemet / black unconscious community. They into all this folly, all this confusion because they've been blinded. And you got to really thank the Lord that he didn't blind you. So sometimes, we be vexed out because our people don't get it, because it's not meant for them to get it. Just be thankful. Don't worry about them. Worry about the Lord woke you up. Because you see how people folly. If you really understand what's going on, you know how people don't know nothing. The people in the world, they don't know nothing. They don't know what's going on. It says Romans 11:8, Salakia. It says, According, I want to make this point too. The book of Romans was written to the Israelite that was in Rome, the Israelites that was in Rome. And these mysteries are hidden from Christians because they'll go to these scriptures and think it applied to them because they pastor taught them that. They don't know no history, they don't know nothing. They just blindly following the Bible without any context, without any knowledge, and that's a fool. It says Romans 11:8, according to it is written, Yahweh have given them a spirit of slumber. So most Jakes in a spiritual slumber. They mean they sleep. Like the movie The Matrix is a good analogy. They stuck in the Matrix, you know what I'm saying? Eyes that they should not see and ears that they should not hear. Until this day they understanding, going back into their understanding. That's why Jake, the popular doctrine right now is the Gentiles can be saved. That's a false demonic doctrine. But Jake's so in the stupor, in the slumber, they can't help it. See, we've been free from this world. Jake got to celebrate Christmas. We don't. Jake got to celebrate Thanksgiving Day. We don't. They got to do it because they're in the world. We don't. We've been set free from this prison, you know, in the mental capacity, and then we waiting for the physical freedom, right? Once the deliverance come. So we've been set free from this world. The cares and emotions. You're supposed to be detached from this world, but that don't mean you just say to hell with everything. You still got responsibilities you have to take care of, you know, within reason. It says 2 Thessalonians 2:10. It says with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish because they receive not the love of the truth. And when I first heard this truth, there's a passion that's still there to this very day. Brothers and sisters know what I'm talking about. I was watching videos, you know, all night sometimes, right? Taking notes, going through the scriptures, you know, when I first was waking up, you know what I'm saying, intense study. Me and my brother used to have Bible studies when we going through the precepts, going through the history. I mean, we breaking it all down to the lowest denominator, trying to get to the bottom of things. And thus, you know, once you have knowledge of something, you come out of ignorance. That's why somebody can confidently, there's been somebody that has mastered their craft. They know when people come in and don't know what they're talking about because they have mastered their craft. So when we go through the precepts, we do the history, we do the study, we look up words, we go into Bible commentaries, ChatGPT, Blue Letter, you know, Strong Concordance, you know, going into the Hebrew, the Latin, and the Greek. We know what people come to us with folly. They don't know what they're talking about because they unlearned. And there's no, let me say this too for you brothers and you sisters, that's unlearned, that's learning. We all had to start somewhere, but you have to have that spirit on you to be taught. You can't have a proud spirit on you, and that's how, you know, the Lord hates that pride. If someone is teaching you, you continue to learn, right? And just simple as that they might be saved. So this is the bridge to your salvation. Understanding that you just weren't created on this earth to go to work and slave on these jobs, build up your 401k, retire, and go on a cruise ship. And Jake, when they start getting that age, they, you know, being in Babylon because everything hurts. They got to go to the doctor every other week. You just folly, man. It's 2 Thessalonians 2:11. It says, and for this cause Yahweh shall send them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. So our people into Christianity, the Lord set that strong delusion. The Lord even put it on these devil spirits to put out, you know, put out that image, right? This stuff go deep. The Lord put on these devils spirit to create that image of so-called white Jesus so it can have the 2/3 in bondage so they won't never get free. Because when you implant an image in somebody's mind, unless they have divine intervention, they're not going to come out of that. That's heavy what I just said. The spirit has to be placed on you. It is not this mystical thing, you know, like, you know, Jake. Anyway, you get it. You know what I'm saying? The spirit is their understanding. The spirit gives us understanding of what we saying, what we follow is the truth. Because we studied, for me, I studied everything else. This the only thing that resonated, and this the only thing that was the 100% truth. I've studied Islam. I've studied, you know, the Lord had me into, when I first woke up to study those things, but it's all folly. This is the only thing. This is the only way. Hopefully this lesson has been edifying. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kodash. Shalom.